All right, welcome to the Entrepreneur Insider Secrets podcast. Today we're going to be talking about going from side hustle to full-time freedom, making that leap to having your own online business. And I think this describes a lot of people that I know because it is a very, very common thing for someone to want to do their own thing. It's a very common thing for people who are like tired of working for someone else, tired of the lack of control over their lives, tired of having a ceiling put on their income, a ceiling put on their potential. I see this constantly. Like, you know what? I'm working my tail off for these people, and they're showing me zero respect. They're showing me zero opportunity for me to grow, for me to advance, for me to be able to do anything. And I'm giving them everything, and they're giving me back like 10%. And this is a very, very common thing. I have someone who's close to me right now who's working for a company that is showing no respect to the people that work in the position that he's working in. And it's heartbreaking because you look at this and you go, you're just beating on these people and grinding on them and giving them very little respect, very little in return. You're just trying to squeeze every last drop of blood that you can get out of them. And what it does is it leaves a lot of people in a situation where they're sick of it. They are really, really tired of being treated that way. They're very, very tired of having no respect, of not having control, of not having the ability to be able to grow, be able to advance, to be able to do things. And they start feeling like they're trapped. And so they start feeling like they don't have a future, like they don't have anything that they can push towards going forward. And as a result, they get very agitated. And this is what causes a lot of people to look at, well, maybe there's something I can do on my own. Maybe there's something that I can work towards. Maybe there's something I can start building. Maybe there's something I can start putting together so I don't have to be under these types of people anymore. People who don't respect me, people who don't give me a chance, people who aren't investing in me, people who just take from me, but are giving back very, very little in return. They think that because they give me a paycheck, they basically own me. And now I'm just their slave. And it's a very discouraging way to live. It's a very discouraging way to approach life. And people get very, very tired and they get very worn out and they're like looking for other options working for someone else, which again, obviously then poses the question, am I going to walk from one situation into another where it's just going to be the same thing? Whereas the thought of, if I just can find a way to create my own thing, I'll never have to deal with the boss again. I'll never have to sit here and have these people limit me, throttle me, push me down, not give me a chance ever again. Because I know that what I'm giving is way more than what I'm getting. And I'd like to equalize that. I'd like to be able to receive equivalent to what I'm putting out, to receive equivalent to what I'm getting. And so this is where people get this dream. This is where this dream comes from, that I want to go out and I want to go on my own. I want to break free. I want to be able to do my own thing. But then there's the other side, which is the fear of, can I do this? Can I get a steady enough income so that I can every month pay my rent or pay my mortgage, so that I can afford to take care of maybe myself and my loved ones? Do I have enough here that I can actually make it work? And so now we're faced with a whole new set of fears and uncertainties. And yet, because of how you've been treated, because of how things are going on the other side of life, so many people are willing to take that shot. They're willing to take a chance and bet on themselves because they know at this point they're good at what they do. They know at this point they've developed a lot of talents and skills over their time of working. And they got some things that they can hang their hat on. They got some things that they know are valuable that they can do that are good. It's just a matter of, do I have enough to be able to make a good living? And can I really make a run at this and make it go? So what we're going to talk about today is some 3 essential things that have to happen for you to be able to make this transition. Because again, I don't think I could ever work for anyone else again. I don't think, I think if I tried to go back and work for someone else, I would last maybe 20 minutes. I just, it wouldn't go well. And I would not last very long, because this is like a bird when it gets out of the cage and it experiences life on the outside, doesn't want to go back in the cage anymore. It doesn't want to go back in and have everyone else dictate its life to it anymore. So what are 3 essential steps to break free, to be able to have that freedom, to be able to have that control, to be able to have that independence that so many people long for? Well, first of all, when you're starting to plan, I'll just use the words your escape, for lack of a better word. You're starting to plan your escape into being an entrepreneur. You're starting to plan your move into leaving your job or leaving the world that you're working in and moving towards going in and working for yourself and trying to create your own future. How do you do that? How do you, what has to happen for you to get there? First thing I'm going to tell you is you need to get really clear on your why and the vision about what it is that you want to do. One of the things I want to caution you against is I see too many times people are like, well, I just got to get out of my job. I got to create some financial relief. I got to create some, I need to make some extra money. Okay. I am not unaware of how this works. People get themselves in situations where money is tight, where they need to make some moves, they need to get some cash flow coming, and they start saying, well, I got to do this just for money. I got to do this just to get some more money in my pocket, to give some financial relief, to pay the bills, to get ahead on some things, because I got some big expenses that I'm staring down. And so you realize that that's a big driver. And I'm not trying to say that that isn't important. The money is always important. That this is the making the money work is always an important part of life and always an important part of your business. That you always have to be able to watch it and make sure that you're not spending more than you're taking in, because this is not going to work well for you very long. But the thing is that when you first get started, when you're first building out your business, when you're first putting things out there and starting to get some of these pieces in place, one of the things you have to understand is you're going to start, like more than likely, you're going to start with not a lot of income. You're going to start with minimal income and maybe even more expense than income as you start, like, okay, I want to build a website. I want to build some of these other, I want to build some things. Maybe I want to put together some ebooks to sell. Maybe I want to put together a course to sell. So you're going to have to take the time to build these things. You have to take the time to have a website, to put them up for sale, time to put a place to put your course. So there's expenses involved. There are things that you can do that you're going to have to do, that you're going to spend some money to invest in your business. And so for the early days, there may not even, and not only may there be not a lot of income coming in, but there may be negative income coming in for the first little while. So you have to brace yourself, and you have to understand that this is part of investing in yourself. This is part of building something. This is part of taking the time to do things the way that they need to be done, so that you can have a foundation to stand on in the future, that you can do this full time. So one of the things that's going to drive you through all this is that vision. Why are you doing this? What is it exactly that you want to do this? What is the thing that you want to do? You got to get super clear on that. You got to get super clear on what it is that you're trying to do. And I hope that if you're doing this, this is something that means something near and dear to your heart. That this is something that you're not doing this just because I need a few extra dollars. Because that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make all the time. That people do this. I need a few extra bucks. I need to make some money. Again, okay, I respect that. I get that. But you could take a part-time side job if that's all you need. If you want to build a business, the reasons for doing so need to be more than money. They need to be more than just, I got to get some cash. So I'm going to find something to sell and just sell it just to make money. These are not great reasons, because inevitably what's going to happen is you're going to face challenges. You're going to face obstacles. You're going to face some difficulties in building your business, because every entrepreneur does. This is what it's like to build a business. This is what it's like to go through this journey and through this process. And if the only thing that you're after is money, you're going to quit. Because every time I see somebody, every time I meet somebody, and I have had coaching clients that have come to me and all I'm trying to do is make money. Okay, good luck. I know how this story is going to end. You don't know how the story is going to end yet, but I do. You're going to fail. You're going to quit. Why? Because the money's not, you're buying into these programs that are promising fast money. All I need to do is this. All I need to do is that. And I'll make money really fast and easy. And I'm looking at it going, that ain't going to work. I can tell. I've done this long enough to know that that's not going to work. That's not going to be successful. And yet, you don't know that yet. You're believing that this is going to be that easy. That you just have to click a few buttons and do a few little things, and here comes the cash. And yet, it's not going to work that way. And when you finally hit the point where you realize that it's not working that way, you quit, because you have no other reason for doing it. Your only motivating force for doing a small business was for money. And when you realize the money doesn't come as easy as some of these people try and promise you it's going to come, some of these people are being, we'll just say, a little less than honest with you. Some of these people who are being just trying to sell you their program. And so they're trying to make it sound like, in a weekend, you could make $20,000. And you're just like, no. Not when you're at zero, not when you have nothing in place yet. You're not just going to do this and have the money come rolling in. That's a scam. That's people selling you things in a very dishonest way. But people buy into it all the time. And it never, ever works, because you're not adding any value. So conversely, if you really, truly want to build something, if you want to build something that you can form an escape route from your career into your own thing, into doing your own thing, you need to have a deep reason why you're doing this. What is it about this that you want to do? Because this is what you're going to be doing every day for possibly the rest of your life. Why do you want to do this? It can't just be because, well, I think I can put some money in my pocket. No, it's got to be because this is what I love to do. Because I know that there's a big need for this in the world. I know that there's a big need for this in people's lives. People need help with this area in life. And I have the skills and the abilities and the passion to help them. I love helping people with this. I love helping people do these things in their lives so that they can be healed, so that they can be free, so that they can solve these problems in their life, so that the quality of their life improves. I know that what I'm doing is making their lives better. And I have this great sense of purpose. I have this great sense of satisfaction. I have this great sense of fulfillment, because what I'm doing is making a tremendous difference in their lives. So you need to be really clear about that. Why are you doing this? You're going to have to do this because I know that people are hurting. I know that people are not getting what they should out of life. They're stuck. They're having problems. And I know that I can help. I know that I can be the difference maker. I can be the person who can help turn their life around. I can be the person who can cause them to have a breakthrough. I can be the person that can help them save their marriage. I can be the person that can help them turn their finances around. I could be the person that can help them turn their health around. Whatever it may be, you can be the difference maker. And you know that what you're motivated for is because you now have the skills, you now have the resources, you now have the talent, you now have the drive to do it, to make a huge difference in someone else's life. This isn't just about showing up and punching a clock. This is about passion. This is about something that drives deep inside of you, that I need to do this because this is why I was put on earth. When you can hit at that level, when you can get clear enough about who you are, about your personality, about your interests, about the things that you love, the things that you're passionate about, and you can see how that fits into the world and how this is your lane. This is the thing in your life that you are called to do. This is the thing that you're called to make an impact for. This is how you're called to make the world a better place. Now go do that thing. You don't get up in the morning and go, oh, I got to go to work today. I got to do this project. It needs to be done. I don't want to do it. No. You get up with drive. You get up with energy. You get up with enthusiasm because you're like, this is important. This is necessary. This is something that the world is waiting for. They need my help. And in doing so, I'm going to make a good living, and I'm going to live a life of purpose and fulfillment. I'm going to live a life that's transforming the lives of others. So you get up, you fight, you do the things that you need to do because you know how important it is. You know how critical it is for you to do the work that you're doing. From there, you start figuring out how can you start building that solid foundation. How can you, now that you know why am I going to work, go to my job all day and then work on this in the evenings and weekends? Because that's what this is going to be for a while. You're going to have to keep your job to keep the income coming in. And then on the side, you're going to have to take your free time, what was free time, and turn it into build your business time. You're going to have to work on that side hustle. You're going to have to work on how do I figure out how to make this happen? And that's why that passion, that drive, that enthusiasm has to be there at a deep, deep level to push you to keep going, to work in the cracks of your life. Time where otherwise maybe you just sat down and watched TV and felt sorry for yourself. Now you're taking that time and turning it into doing what you need to do to be successful with your business. And while you're doing that now, once you have that drive, once you're clear on that, once you have the clear vision and you know why you're doing it and why it's so important, and you have the proper motivation and the thing is pulling you towards your dream, now it's time to start building that foundation. Now it's time to start figuring out, how can I do this in such a way that I can start doing some of these things, start putting some of these things out there so that I can start earning some income while I'm going? How can I do this in such a way that, okay, I'm never going to get there until some of the cash flow starts coming in? Because what the objective is, one of the first objectives is that the business income needs to start replacing the job income. So you need to now, you have a ramp up, whatever that income is from your job that you need to replace. And that number is going to be, different for each individual, but you have a number that you have to get to. If I can make enough money on a consistent basis that I can replace what I get from my job, I can let the job go and I can do this full time. So we have to figure out, what is it that you're going to do that you can start with? What are some foundational things that you can put out there that on the side, because you're obviously not doing this full time yet, on the side you can do that will allow you to start earning enough money that you can eventually scale it up to the point where you can leave the job. Because again, if you only here's part of the problem. Is some people will do I'll work with people one-on-one, which is great. But if you have 10 to 15 hours extra every week where you can give towards working on your business, and you can do, let's say, 5 to 7 of those hours in one-on-one coaching, that's all you got. That's based on your life, your schedule, your responsibilities, that's about all you can squeeze out. And that money that you're making from those 5 to 7 hours is only going to get you to about a quarter to a third of what you're making in your salary. You got a problem. You're never going to be able to ramp it up enough to replace your income. Because again, the only way you're going to get out of your job and start doing this full time is you got to get those to the equal level, or you got to get your side business to the level of where you're making enough that you can live off of it, that you're making enough that you've replaced the income from your job at the level that you need it to be so that you can succeed and that you can take the jump. So some of the things that are easiest to do is I know people that would hire me. I know people would pay me to work with them. Great. That's wonderful. But here's the deal. is, can you do enough of that to replace your income? To replace your income to the point where you can actually make the leap. And if you're looking at it, and because what's going to happen is you're going to do this, and what you're going to have is like a part-time job for a while. Okay, I'm working 5 to 7 hours a week with these extra people on the side, making some good extra money, but I'm exhausted because I'm working my butt off. And now what? I can't do it anymore. I'm worn out. I'm working my tail off, and it's still not enough to replace my job. So we need to be thinking about, how do you build things that you can sell consistently to generate income, that are going to work, and that you can scale, so that based on the limited time, because obviously you don't have full-time hours yet. You do not yet have that full-time schedule that you can dedicate toward working on your business. How can you sell things? How can you offer services? Maybe instead of doing one-on-one coaching, you do some group coaching. Maybe instead of just doing individual work, you offer some, courses or some things that you can offer that you can sell a lot of, or services or products that you can offer to make yourself money, that, hey, you don't need more time to make more sales, because your time at this point is going to be very, very limited. It's going to be very much on the margins of your life. It's going to be very much on the edge of what you can put out. So you do these things, and you need to understand, how can you invest in a system? How can you invest in a process? How can you build your time? Build your business in such a way so that you can scale some of these things up, so you can get to that point where you can earn enough to start making the transition. And then once you've made the transition, now you can build it from there to make even more money and to grow a lot further. But first, that's not the objective. The objective isn't to go huge right away. The objective is to earn enough to flip the switch so you can let go of the other. When you do that, okay, now we've done something. Now we've made the move. Now we've made the transition, because we now have the cash flow here to do it. And you need to be able to do it without burning yourself to a crisp. You need to be able to do it in such a way that you're not sitting there going, oh my goodness, I'm fried. I'm giving all I got, and now I'm not. Now what am I? Exhausted. I am worn out. I am completely pooped. I got nothing else. So then what happens? Even if you're driven by your passion, even if you're driven by a deep sense of purpose, eventually you will hit a point where I have to take a break. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. I love the type of things I'm able to get involved in. But I'm fried. I got nothing left. I have to get rest. It happens to all of us. No matter how much we love our job, no matter how much we love the work that we're doing, you can't do it 24/7. No one can. Eventually, you got to unplug. Eventually, you have to recharge. So you have to be able to find a way to make this scalable, especially in the early days. How can I get to that point? And you have to be realistic. This is the number I need to be able to get to every month. If I can get to this much income every month, I can pull. I could pull out of my job and I could go into this. How can I do this without killing myself? And even in the beginning, it's tempting. I'm very enthusiastic. I love this. I'll do whatever I have to. That's great. And you have the energy at the first part, but months and months and months later, you still may have the passion, but you may not have the energy because you may be exhausted. So how do you do this? How do you invest in certain things? How can you create income streams that are going to be there, that you can build, that you can create, that you can stack to start getting to your number for your freedom number? How can you get there without destroying yourself? How can you get there without running yourself straight into the ground? So you do those things. You invest in those things. You invest in the systems and the processes that keep things from being 100% manual. Because in the beginning, you don't have systems, you don't have processes, you don't have things set up that you can just do this easily and naturally without any effort. You're going to have to do things manually until you can get systems put in place. So you need to build it in such a way that makes sense that you can get to your number without destroying you. Lastly, you have to have the financial and emotional readiness to do this. Because no matter what, even if you're doing great, even if things are starting to happen, things are starting to go, there's always a fear factor. When you start going off on your own, when you start making that leap to do your own thing, there's a fear factor that sits there. There is a fear factor that sits there that goes, what if all my clients leave? What if they'd all just one day decide, I'm not going to work with you anymore? What happens then? Maybe you're at that point. You've made enough money. Now you're looking at it going, I'm ready to pull the plug. I'm ready to leave my job. I'm ready to go off on my own. But there's always this little bit of fear of what if I screw something up, or what if something happens that my clients can't afford to work with me anymore? And then what am I going to do? Now all of a sudden I'm going backwards, and now I can't afford to pay my bills again. You have to prepare yourself emotionally, because when you work for someone else, the paycheck is the paycheck for the most part, unless you get commissions or things like that. You get your paycheck. That's it. And good or bad, that's how much you get every pay period. So you know what to count on, and consistent. Even if things are going badly at work, that's your paycheck. You get that. When you're on your own, it doesn't work that way. You have to be ready to understand there's going to be peaks and valleys. You have to prepare yourself emotionally, mentally, internally, to handle the fact that there is no such thing anymore as a steady check. There is no such thing anymore as just income coming in on autopilot. No, you're going to have to go get it. You're going to have to go work for it. And the good news is that you can grow way beyond what you were before, with some good planning, with some good structure, with some good, business ideas. You can grow way beyond anything you would have ever made before. But you have to be able to manage that. You have to be able to manage yourself emotionally. You have to get your mindset on the fact and let go of the notion that steadiness is no longer really in the cards for the most part. There's going to be peaks. There's going to be valleys. Some months you're going to make great money and it's going to be wonderful. Other months it's going to be a lot less, and you're going to have to figure it out. And you're going to have to be able to manage. And on the months where you made extra, set some of that aside. Keep a little in reserve, so that then 2 months later you have a down month. Like, okay, but I still have cushion. I have money that I set aside, and I can weather this down month until I bring in new clients and get it back up again. And so you have to have that mindset, and you have to be able to have that resilience, and you have to have a financial plan that's going to allow you to kind of run the bumpy road. Because that's what being an entrepreneur is. It's a little bit more of a bumpy road. There is no steady paycheck every 2 weeks. It is what you get. You get what you get based on the work that you're doing, based on how many clients you have, based on how the business is doing. So you have to have that mindset of resilience. You have to have the ability to understand and emotionally and mentally handle what's in front of you. And then you got to just keep putting timelines in front of you. You got to set realistic milestones. I think in 6 months I could be here. I think in 9 months I could be here. I think in 12 months I could be here. And then work towards those goals. Have a good outline of this is what I think is reasonable. And don't put, the thing that we so many times do as entrepreneurs is, I think I could do this. Okay, you probably can, but you probably can't do it in the time frame that you've outlined. That is the death knell of an entrepreneur, is that we sit here all the time and think, well, I think I could go from 100,000 in sales to 1 million in sales. And more than likely you can, but probably not in a year. It's probably going to take a little longer than that. And this is where we get stuck, is we want to go from 0 clients to 10,000 clients. You can get to 10,000 clients, but a step at a time. So don't put such pressure on yourself that no matter how good you do, you're always going to feel like you failed. Set realistic timelines, set realistic goals. Be mentally prepared for the ups and the downs. And when you do that, you've set yourself up to succeed. you set yourself up to be able to handle the challenges that are in front of you. So take these things to heart, because this is the journey, and so many people get knocked off the bus on this journey because they aren't mentally prepared for what it means to be an entrepreneur. They aren't mentally prepared for the struggle that's out there for them to be able to succeed in this journey. But with the right vision and the right why, the right motivation, with the good foundation being built and the right mental preparedness, you can do this. This is completely within your grasp. This is completely possible. And again, as always, if you would like help with this, this is what we do. This is our passion, to help other people be successful in this way of doing life, to be successful as entrepreneurs, to be successful in building their own business. So not only could they earn the income that they want, but they could do work that is meaningful to them, work that is beneficial to those around them. So that's everything for today. I hope you found a lot of value in all of this. I will see you again in the next episode. And until then, I hope you have an amazing day.